into what you came here for. Please tell me more about the activity. Activity. Let me show you. I showed you what the success chart looks like and the failure chart looks like. Let me give you the best formula for success that I've ever heard. The best formula for success. On this side, on the right-hand side of this graph, the best formula for success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. A few simple actions practiced every day. A few simple tasks done daily, consistently. That's what will lead you to success inside of this business. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now, let me give you the formula for failure. A few errors in judgment repeated every day. A few simple things you could have done and you didn't do. A few calls you could have made and you didn't make. A few meetings you could have had and didn't have. And here's the secret. I will tell you this because our profession fakes people out. And I'll show you how with this graph. Doing the action and not doing the action, the person on this side, doing the disciplines, and the person on this side repeating the errors, you can't tell the difference between the two of them sitting in this room. In the last 24 hours, there are some of you that engaged in the disciplines and some of you that repeated some errors in judgment. And you know what? We can't see the difference. Right? So, a person says, okay, they make 10 phone calls yesterday. And the person on this side doesn't make the 10 phone calls in the last 24 hours. Can you tell the difference between the two? You can't. So it doesn't seem to matter that much. One person does a PBR on this side, and the other person doesn't. One person passes out a tool, the other person doesn't. One person sits down or does a three-way call, the other person doesn't. One person talks to somebody on Skype, the other person doesn't. One person has somebody try the product, the other person doesn't. One person uses the product in front of people, the other person doesn't. You can't tell. So the big fake out is this. Have you ever heard of, if I'll go to work for you for a penny a day, double it every day for the next 30 days, that old story? Right? It's $10 million at the end. But if you put that little formula, 1 penny, then day 2 is 2 pennies, and day 3 is 4 pennies, and then 8 pennies, and then 16 pennies, and 32 pennies, and you put that into a spreadsheet, the graph would look exactly like this. Exactly like this. So those little actions work for a penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies, 8 pennies, 16 pennies. Doesn't seem to matter that much. But in the end, does every one of those pennies matter? Huge. Take out the first day, and you take out 5 million. Take out the first 2 days, you take out 7.5 million. But down here, a person's just having fun, goofing off, doing nothing. And you get discouraged because you watch the person doing nothing. They might be making more money than you. And they're a goof off. And you're working hard. And you're going, how is this possible? Maybe I should goof off too. Looks like it worked for them. So people, here's the thing. This discipline curve is uncomfortable. And it's hard to do alone. The error curve is really comfortable. Out of every 20 people, 19 of them are down here. One of them's up here. 19 to 1. 5%. Even inside this room, if you're in a row of 20, 19 are down here doing the errors in judgment. 1 up here are doing the disciplines. Does that sound spooky? It's a fact. When all the chandeliers are gone and all the music's done and everybody goes back home, we can tell by next week what you did, actually. in the next 7 days. You want to know the number one thing that will determine, that gives you the most clues as far as who's on the error side? 3 things. Blame, justification, and complaining. If you have people who are blaming everybody else and everything else for their problems, they're justifying, well, if I had this, and, well, you don't understand that. Or if they're complaining, you don't know the troubles I've had. You know where they're at. They're where most of the world is. They've been programmed to be there. You know where who programmed them mostly? These other 19. It's lonely being up here, doing meetings for people who don't show up and making the calls when other people aren't making them, and working harder than other people that are working. And working hard for those little pennies and those little tiny groups and rebuilding and trying to change your programming, trying to fix your life alone. While 19 people went to the party and you made the calls. While 19 people took the weekend off and went to the beach and you stayed there and said, no, I'm not going to the beach. There'll be plenty of time for the beach. Now's not one of those times. You know how hard it is to go against peer pressure when everybody else is going to the beach? Hard. That's why people in network marketing are my heroes. Because they go against the stream. They go against the norm. They go against average. And they stand and say, you know what? No. All you fish go that way, I'm going this way. I'm not one of that crowd. I feel sorry for that crowd, but I'm not one of that crowd. I want to change my life. Now, if you don't really pay attention to your programming, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you to stay strong enough to stay on this discipline path. The programming is everything. Feeding your mind, feeding your spirit, feeding your soul. In every way, in a positive way. And looking for the patterns that are repeating over and over and over and over and over. And find a loved one, somebody who cares about you or a friend, and say, what are my patterns? It's okay, you can tell me. What are my patterns? What are the things that you see me repeat over and over? What's my self-destructive behavior? What is my issues that I need to work on in order to be able to change the programming? And Connie talked about today, don't worry about your weaknesses, just worry about your strengths. That's true. You can get anywhere you want to go with your strengths. However, you've got to go back and fix the typo. You can't just say, well, I want my strengths to fix the typo. And I'm just hitting print over and over and over and over and over and expecting a different result. You have to change your thinking. You understand what I'm saying? This is getting through to you.
Yes.
This is a very deep message. This is something that will, if you take it as seriously as I do, the next 10 years can be a completely different 10 years for you. But it's the beginning of a journey. It's like a treasure map that can start you down a road. It won't get you all the way there. Like I said, this is 3 hours minimum for me to cover this. But if this can get you thinking in the right way, you can kind of say, oh, that's it. It's not that I didn't have the right script. It's not that I didn't do the right PDR. It's not all those different things. Okay? So, back to this. You do the activities over and over and over and over and over and over and over when it doesn't seem to matter. Why would somebody do an error in judgment instead of a discipline? Because it didn't seem to matter. You got away with it. You went to the beach. Nobody noticed. So it's easy to repeat. I'll go to the beach again. Nobody noticed. Yes. Right? Then it's easy to repeat, and guess what happens? You repeat these errors in judgment long enough, and the comfortable becomes uncomfortable. And when it becomes uncomfortable, guess what happens? Well, guess what kicks in? Blame. justification, complaining. It's not me. And you turn to the other 19 that were also not willing to do the things that they needed to do. And you said, what happened? And guess what they'll say to you? It's not your fault. Your upline screwed you over so bad. Remember that one time they didn't have products? How could they expect you to succeed? Impossible. Didn't even have translations in the breakout sessions, so you couldn't get the training. It's terrible what those people try to expect from you. Awful. So it makes you feel better about your failure. You're right. Screw those guys. Dumb network marketing stuff. Told me I'd get rich. And then the person up here who's going this journey alone, time after time, day after day, doing the disciplines, talking to the people, doing the meetings, doing the calls, when they didn't feel like it, when it was uncomfortable, when it was no fun, when they were working hard to reprogram themselves, getting around other 5%ers, to encourage them and say, no, stay on the path, buddy. Come on, stay on the path. Don't fall off. Come on. Stay with it. We're on the right track. We're going to do this together. And you will attract to each other. You'll find each other. Then here's my promise to you. The uncomfortable will become comfortable. What hurts today won't hurt tomorrow. It'll become natural, become part of what you do, become part of who you are. And then your job is to do the best you can to keep as many people on this path as possible. Let them know that the uncomfortable will become comfortable. Let them know that programming themselves will get a result. It's not about the scripts, it's about you. It's not about the products, it's about you. It's not about our comp plan or our company, it's about you. You've got patterns that you've got to correct. You have programming that you have to correct. Now, here's the reason why our business is so different. In every other business in the world where you're an employee, you don't have to do that. Because you know what they teach you to do? An action, and repeat that action for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Every once in a while, get a little retraining, and then repeat that action. They want you to be stuck in that programming. They don't want you to be liberated. There's no money in that for you to be liberated. They want you semi-dumb. They want you smart enough to be a function, but not a leader. Unless there's a leadership function inside of the company. Ours is completely different. Completely different. This will be a journey of self-exploration for you, unlike anything you've ever experienced in your life. But I will tell you this, see this path? This is true whether you're in network marketing or not. If you want to give back to the world, guess what? It's this same path. If you want to build a business or build a family or build anything, guess what? It's this same path. Your program is going to lead to your thoughts, going to lead to your attitudes, going to lead to your activities, going to lead to your results. It's going to lead to your lifestyle. Period. Now, why don't they teach this in school? Because they want you semi-stupid. We need accountants to do the accountant job. We need managers to do the manager job. We need customer service to do the customer service job. We just need them to be functions. We don't need them to be people. We need the police officer to do the police officer job. We don't need him to become a leader. Why do we need him to become a leader? We just need him to do his job. So if he's got patterns that he keeps repeating, fine. So long as he does his function, what do we care? So, activities. So, results. What you think determines how you feel. How you feel determines what you do. What you do determines what you get. And what you get determines how you can live. Not how you will live, but how you can live. Okay? And I will tell you that this can work backwards sometimes. It's not always left to right. In other words, if you do the activity long enough, eventually you're going to feel better about it. And that will change your thinking about it. And that will help you to reprogram. Okay? That can work that way. The best way is do an activity, get feedback, no good or bad experiences, just learning experiences. Get feedback. The best way is you get the feedback, kick it into your programming, repeat it over and 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 over every way you possibly can. Get it reinforced every way you possibly can and have it come back through. That's the better way. It's a lot slower, I promise you, because I did the other way. It's a lot slower going to activities, back to attitude, back to thoughts. Because what you do is you go to activity, to attitude, back to activity, to a worse attitude sometimes, right? Which leads to worse activities, and then you end up going back and forth between activity and attitude, which is where most of you are stuck right now. Between activity and attitude, back and forth, which is what wrecks your consistency. It's what keeps you from moving forward. But if you do that long enough and you're committed long enough, then eventually you're going to buckle down and you're going to see the repeating pattern and you're going to say, okay, I got to go back. What is my thinking about that? And how do I need to reprogram myself in order to be able to change? Okay. Results. What I am a student of is results. When it comes to our business, that is the output. That's the print. When they push print, and you get the piece of paper, and you look at the piece of paper, that's how you judge everything that led up to that document in your hand. Does that make sense? So, everything that we have to evaluate is based upon results. So we go do the thing. We get a result. Good or bad, doesn't matter. Then we either repeat the good or we correct the bad for the output again. Results are the name of the game. And then rank advancement is part of the results. Paychecks is part of results. Product stories is part of results. Organizational growth is part of results. Are you back at the next event is part of results. Do you have more people in your organization at the next event? Part of results. What I do and what all professionals do is we measure and measure and measure and measure and measure everything. Results are the name of the game. Then we get to lifestyle. The reason why I talked about lifestyle in the way that I did, I said this gives you the ability to have a lifestyle, but it's a lifestyle of choice. There's a lot of people who have money and no life. How many people do you know that have a lot of money and no life? That's a choice, right? Guess where that comes from? Programming. Or, you know what my programming issue has been, and I've been working on it very, very hard for the last 2 years, is I've repeated a pattern of make a lot of money and not have a lot. Seriously. I have made and spent or lost many, 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 many millions. And that's my pattern. So I could point at all that. You wouldn't believe what happened in the stock market. And you would not believe how this partner screwed me over. And you wouldn't believe what happened with this, and the economy did that. And you know what? Guess what the common denominator of the last 20 years of my career has been? This guy. I have repeated patterns that I am working on a daily basis right now, very hard, to be able to, for the next fortune that comes in, because making money is easy inside of network marketing. You might not believe that, but it is. If you'll commit to the disciplines, there's only a half a dozen. You've got to learn how to prospect, okay? Figure it out. It's called talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. Use third-party tools. Do it consistently. Do it long enough. You'll find good people. Okay? There's not a lot to it, guys. Then, getting a person started properly. Okay? How hard is that? Make sure that they do what you did. Talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. Use third-party tools. Jump up and down every once in a while. Get excited. Some will say yes, some will say no. If they say yes, then number 2, you get them started. Right? You want to make sure that they're using the products and they're getting product results. It's not a big skill. You're going to teach that at Harvard. Get people to use the products. We need to have a course. No, it's a decision. Right? Then, learning how to do presentations, that's a skill. All of you could learn that skill in the next 72 hours if the reasons were strong enough. If I were to pay you $100,000 if you could nail the presentation and do it perfectly 72 hours from today, how many would have any doubt that they would nail it? I mean, everybody would nail it. No problem. So it's not about can you, it's just about will you. Then you have to create duplication in your organization, which is finding leaders, teaching them how to find leaders, teaching them how to find leaders, and keeping a system solid, right? I mean, it's a half a dozen skills. It's building for events. It's simple stuff. But that simple stuff will break down if the programming's not solid, right? So it is easy to make money in this profession if you will just work on you more than everything else. Why do we talk about personal development so much? That's why.